Dasho Pema Thinley, an advisor, Institute of Wellbeing at Shimithangkha, Shaolana, Bhutan, he continues to work for developing formal and informal education for GNH, gross national happiness, through mindfulness and universal human values.
I hope the coffee and the tea would have woken all of you up. I'm delighted to be here with my colleagues from Bhutan. Sorry we could not get here in time. So our apologies. But I feel a bit flattered by being called the chief guest. I have a message from Her Majesty the Queen Mother Gertsin Sering Pema Wangchuk to us, to the 8th International Conference on Human Values in Higher Education. And Her Majesty the Queen Mother gives us the patronage on GNH values or universal human values or values in education, as you say, and she thinks this is very important. And therefore, I think the conference had asked Her Majesty whether she could send us a message, and she has kindly agreed to do this one, and her message is here. Delighted to read her message. So you can see I put, don't look at me, you can look at the Queen Mother and say that she is actually reading this. Okay, she is actually giving us this message. So, Her Majesty the Queen Mother Gyaltsum Sering Pema Wangchuk's message to the 8th International Conference on Human Values in Higher Education, IIT Banaras Hindu University, 1st to 3rd March 2019. Just reading it out. And I quote, "I am happy to learn that the 8th International Conference of Human Values in Higher Education is being held in the historic city of Banaras in IIT Banaras Hindu University. It was a privilege to attend the 7th International Conference of the Universal Human Values in Higher Education in Thimphu, Bhutan. I was delighted to learn about the work of Shri Ganesh Bagaria and his colleagues on universal human values. Today, their hard work is appreciated and acknowledged by many renowned institutions and individuals.
In Bhutan,
universal human values is better understood as gross national happiness values. Under the leadership of our enlightened monarchs, His Majesty the 4th King Jigme Singye Wangchuk and His Majesty the King Jigme Gesa Namgye Wangchuk, we have always tried to ensure that the happiness of the people is placed at the center of development, fostering a balance between the material and the spiritual well-being of our people. My own experience, having attended the Universal Human Values Conference in 2017 in Thimphu, was profound, and it was evident why we need to include universal human values in all our formal and informal education systems worldwide. Universal human values must be a subject of importance in our workplace and homes. In pursuit of personal happiness, the harmonious relationship within and with the rest of nature has degenerated. I believe this can be restored and nurtured if we truly understand the essence of our being. I also believe that universal human values can be the start of the journey to gain this wisdom. As the President of the Bhutan Youth Foundation, Bhutan Youth Development Fund, which is a civil society organization founded by His Majesty the 4th King of Bhutan, I established the Institute of Wellbeing in Bhutan with the aspiration that GNH values, gross national happiness values, values-based core programs would address the many challenges faced by our children and youth in a globalized world. The young people affected by drugs come for treatment at the institute, and their recovery has been quite remarkable due to this unique treatment model. A conference like this creates the opportunity for like-minded persons and organizations to network and work together. The collective knowledge and wisdom will make our progress faster, as time is of the essence in this rapidly dehumanizing world. I believe that each one of you, each one of the participants present here, is capable of changing our generation that will make the difference. I want to thank everyone for this wonderful opportunity, and finally I would like to congratulate IIT Banaras Hindu University and the organizers of the conference, and wish you all a successful summit. Tashi Delek means let the best of the best come. I have got this one printed and sent through me in Her Majesty's. Can I hand it over? I do not know who is there from. So I am delighted to hand over this message. Thank you for organizing it.
We'll circulate it.
Yes. For the next part, I'd like to, I thought rather than talk about the big subject that was announced, I think I'll reveal it share some of that over the next 2 days. But today I thought, since it's the first day, I thought I will think about and remember the history of the Universal Human Values international conferences, because it just helps to set a tone to the discussions, the thinking, the background, the inspiration. I attended myself 4 of the 8 international conferences, of course including this one, and I attended the first one. I was just checking whether that was the first one or the second one that I attended in IIT Hyderabad in 2012, and that was the first one. So I am happy to hear that I attended the first one, and now I am attending this one. The first one was very interesting. The first one in IIT Hyderabad, myself sitting in Thimphu and then thinking about going for this conference all the way to IIT Hyderabad was kind of really unimaginable. I could not think about it. But Professor Rajiv Sangal is here amongst us there. So if it was not for him, I would not have gone. He kept on insisting that I must come and attend that international conference, the first one in 2012. And the reason that I decided to go, I mean, Professor Sangal I had met almost as soon as I had become the Vice Chancellor of the Royal University of Bhutan. Then in 2008 or 9, I had visited Hyderabad, and then by chance we went to IIT Hyderabad, and it just struck, sometimes when you walk into an institution like that, you know something smells nice, and that was like that in IIT Hyderabad. That stayed in my mind. And then we had a rather longish chat with Professor Sangal as the director then, and I thought this is, we felt very nice in that Professor Sangal's company. As you walked through the toilet, everything seemed to be quite perfect. I thought, what is this now? What is there? And only later on I learnt that that universal human values was something that they were experimenting in there. And for me, I hadn't heard about universal human values. And then I thought that was interesting. And that is one of the reasons why I decided to go for this first conference in the IIT Hyderabad. So I thought, by telling you this one, there is something, it does strike the minds of the young people, and then in subtle ways it seemed to have the capability of changing people's mindset, the way that they think about themselves and the way that they behave with other people. It's just very subtle, and that is very interesting, and I thought I must say this today. But that incident changed my mind, changed my life. If that did not happen, I would not be here today, and I would not be working on the Bhutan Institute of Wellbeing. So I think this is very, very significant. And Professor Sangal's work down there later on, then I thought I must find out. This is an opportunity for me to find out a little bit more about why IIIT Hyderabad is like that. Why does it smell like that? Why does it have that scent? Why does it have that air of responsibility, orderliness, nobody telling people, but things happen gently, and that really struck me. As the conferences, as all conferences go, the conference itself was a series of speakers. There were some distinguished speakers like, of course, Sri Ganesh Bagaria was there, but also I did not know Sri Ganesh Bagaria then. It didn't even strike another speaker. Samdong Rinpoche was there, another speaker. There's quite a lot of interesting speakers, but conferences normally you don't listen, no? You just go there, then we think about shopping and then seeing this city. That is what conferences is all about. So I didn't pay much attention, but then this all happened. Then the magic happened at the airport. I went back after the conference, nothing, it's just a normal conference. I just attended about GNH. The people got interested about GNH, and there were articles and papers written, about GNH, but nothing too much happened. So I headed back home to go to the to go back home. But the magic happened, as I'm saying here. So at the airport, I've just put it as books, overweight payments, and Ganeshji. Quite often, most of the important things don't quite happen in the conference like this because of feeling sleepy, good food, and everything else, but happen on the sidelines. And this is what happened at the airport. At the airport, they had given me some books on universal human values. I hadn't even looked, but then I thought I must diligently carry it home. And then at the airport, I found that I was overweight. I had to make some payments. So as I was coming back to make my payments, then I saw Ganesh coming out. And then I found out that Ganeshji is actually on the same plane with me. So anyway, I made my payments, and then Ganeshji, we had quite some time after that. And Ganeshji insisted that we must have some coffee together. And I realized later on, Ganeshji actually doesn't take much coffee, but he was just doing it for me. And then, it was bound to happen like this. We thought we will entice them, but nobody wants to stay. It's very problematic. Then I have nothing to offer as a vice chancellor. No training. How can I train wardens? Because the kids, the youth being what they are, it's problematic. Sometimes you can't sleep. I found out that there was a workshop on human values happening. What is it, about 2 weeks from the time that we met? And I said, I must send this. I think this, now I have something for my wardens to give. So all my dean of students and 1 or 2 of my staff should go to this workshop. So they came, and this is how I came. Then we got connected to these universal human values. And when I came back, of course, I spent quite some time, some money, and I had to really steal it, twist my accountant's hands to get that money, because it was about 10 lakhs that came to at the end of it, sending about 25 people. So I want to check at the end and say what happened when they come back. What happened? They said, oh, learn, it was very nice. Normal things that we say. Then what did you really learn? So they had some authentic things to say. One fellow said, clerk, an assistant that we sent from my own office, because otherwise I have to do the running round. And if I send somebody else, if he's convinced, he will do all that work of running round. So I asked him, okay, you went, so what did you learn? And he said all these nice things about it, and I said, I'm not convinced. What did you really learn? Then he thought about it and said, if I did not go to this Universal Human Values workshop, this shoe that I bought would have cost about 1,500 rupees. This shoe, I bought it for 500 rupees, so I saved 1,000. So that is the value. So I got convinced. Then I asked the colleges, then they are saying some interesting, quite authentic stories about what happened to them. And that is how we got into this. That is how I come to attend the this 8th conference now here, and we have been engaged. So I thought I must tell this story because it does tell about the universal human values, what it does, because it just gets you connected to yourself. And I was thinking that is what we were talking about in the session that we have just concluded. Doesn't matter whether you talk about Islamic, Buddhist, Sikh, Vedic traditions, it is the human person that we are talking about. All these religions, what we call the religions, are tackling the human person. And so long as we are studying the human being, it can connect, and that's universal human values does allow to do that one. And I thought this story is therefore very important. The next part of this, I would like to talk a little bit about these international conferences. This international, we are attending this international conference, no? This is the 8th one. I don't know, some people I've met before, but I think many of them are new. International conferences, I've attended many international conferences as the secretary, as the education, as the vice chancellor. And I thought there are many types, but generally I thought there were two types. One is expensive. It's the international conferences are very expensive. You either get paid or have to pay. Two things that happen in these big conferences, hotels, whatever. It's a huge operation in organization and organized in big 5-star international hotels. It's a big fanfare. Many important people come and say things and they forget it after they after they go past the conference hall. Then the second one, like this one, International Conference for Higher Education in human values in higher education. The organizers have no money. No money at all. I know Ganeshji and Rajulji, they have no money. Then, and you don't get paid, and you are not expected to pay also. You get it? You are not paid and you are not expected to pay. When we come here, we get food, we get everything else, and we don't pay. Then, but you can't back out. This is a conference you cannot back out. That is why I am here in the 8th International Conference. Not only conference, you can't back out of anything. And this is, of course, inspired and organized, this international conference. I was just thinking, just sitting in Bhutan watching this happening. Actually, this is inspired and organized by two people. One is Ganesh Bagaria, Ganeshji, and Rajul, who is working 24/7 as his secretary. And sometimes when there is no money at all, maybe Rajul might put out his some money and say, okay, pay this one. and of course with the unwavering support of their spouses, Ganeshji's wife, his extended family, Rajulji's wife and the extended family, and of course we become the extended family after that. So this is how this workshop is run. So we need understanding, we need commitment, and this is how it is done. Many of these great things that are really meaningful are pushed like this, and you don't really need that much resources, but you need knowledge, you need commitment. And if you have the knowledge, you can't back out anyway. You have to have the commitment because you have no other choice but to work. Okay. So I was just thinking, how are these conferences changing? I've been watching these conferences happen in details of how it is organized, how the details are thought about, how are we engaged when we are here in the conferences. And I see that there's a continual development in the form and the style. I was watching the first one, the engagement wasn't that much. That is why I had to meet Ganeshji at the airport to make a meaningful dent on my life. So I think there are many ways that I see you can engage, and you will see what happens in the next 3 days. And then it's effective in roping in and engaging institutions and even countries slowly. Each conference I see more people being roped in, more institutions being roped in. Roped in meaning for good effect, learning to live like a human being, no? And our network is widening. Each time we meet, I see more people from more organizations, sometimes some more countries. And then this has to happen. I think, therefore, I think the international conferences are, this international conference are very, very important for us to meet once a year, because we are starting a movement. This has to happen as a movement. I can see actually what this can do, because we are learning about ourselves, and I think in my later talks and discussions I will mention this. But one thing that really is quite startling, it seems to work for all ages, because all are human beings and we are talking about human beings. Our reform center, our center of our juveniles who are young age, you cannot put them into prison, but I think it is a prison lockup. They have got into some crimes. And one person who told this one is really struck as something that's really revealing. And what this person was said is, you know, this is something, and I did the three days of human values for these people, young people in prison. This fellow said, you know, this is something that my parents did not teach me. This is something my teachers did not teach me in the school. If I had learnt about myself before, little bit less of what you talked about in the 3 days of this workshop, I might not be here. Revealing, no? Finally, here we are in Banaras Hindu University. I wasn't going to come. Those of you who are here must have battled it in your mind whether to go, not to go, and then and how finally you came here. Myself, I have battled it in my mind. There are some reasons why I decided to come, and this is some of the reasons. I thought, oh, Banaras, when you talk about Banaras, you think about, oh, this little bit interesting. Somehow it connects in your heart. It's a little bit magical, historical, cultural, this rich city, and therefore somehow you want, but then I think I can't go. Then Banaras Hindu University, you get to read a little bit about Banaras Hindu University. It's interesting how this gentleman started this and got so much land, and how it is serving all the people. Very, very interesting. And then you talk about triple IT Hyderabad, no, triple IIT in a university. Normally IITs are separate institutions, and IIT in a university is very unique. So I thought this is interesting. Then of course Rajiv Sangal. Rajiv Sangal was the founding director of this institute, and I know he has been working with these universal human values here. I want to see what happened. What is it? Has it got the same scent as I felt, as I smelt in triple IT Hyderabad? How is it? So, and the other one, of course, for coming to these conferences, you meet sometimes magical people. Like I met Ganeshji, Rajiv Sangal, and there are probably one or two here. And I thought, who knows, I might meet some magical people that make a difference, that make this thing move. And of course, the last one is, this is where Lord Buddha first taught, Varanasi, Sarnath, where he turned the wheel of Dharma, meaning the wheel of the truth, and the universal human values really is trying to find out the truth about ourselves, nothing else. So that is why I thought, that is why I am here. And as I said, if we were not merited, we will not be here. None of you will be here. You were merited, you had what we call the karmic connection to this conference. And we are here on a mission of changing the world. I really sincerely believe in it. How about you? I somehow think at the deepest of my heart that we can change the world, that one individual can change the world. Here we have got one individual like Ganeshji, Rajulji, Rajiv Sangal, and many of you in different places working. And what it does, as I see it in my mind, is that Berlin Wall was built in the imagination of one person, but it was built. It was also broken in the imagination of one person. It was broken. We know this can happen. I think actually this universal human values has got the power of changing the world order as it is, because the world order as it is actually destroying the world. And we can change it, and here we are. And I hope that when we go back, you will have your magical presents to take back home, and we will be together in this movement to change the world. And with this, I'd like to wish every one of you feel welcome to come to this conference in our family, and then also wish that you will have your presents to take back home in special different ways. Thanks so much.